Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to all of our attendees tuning in from around the world. Today's broadcast of Invisible Women in Sport is an Institute for Sport and Social Justice production. I'm your producer, Garnett L. Overby III. All guests will be muted during this production, but I encourage you to use the chat feature to ask a question or leave a comment. We will reserve time at the end to answer your questions. So now, without further ado, and for the last time, I would like to welcome our host, Candace Martin.
Thanks, Garnett. Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 3's final episode of Invisible Women in Sport, and I'm your host, Candace Martin. I have grown to know and adore today's guest very well in the last year and a half. However, I'm still very excited to have a conversation with her. So please join me in welcoming Miss Ashley Turner, Director of External Affairs and Partnerships for the DeVos Sport Business Management Program here at the University of Central Florida. Thanks, Miss Ashley, for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Candace. Happy last day. Sad last day, I'm not sure, but last day nonetheless.
Absolutely, very excited. All right, so told you the other day in the pre-screen that we would do one or two icebreakers, either rapid fire or two truths and a lie. You do your homework, you spend some time, you're a teacher too. You do your homework?
I'm ready. I always do my homework.
Okay, so we're actually gonna do rapid fire.
Okay, I can't wait. Let's do it.
All right, so I'm gonna get my timer. I have 30 seconds. Let me get it. Timer 30. That's 30 minutes. Oh goodness. 30 seconds. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Dribbling or passing / receiving?
Dribbling.
Offense or defense?
Offense.
Favorite athlete of all time?
Oof. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Silk press or braids?
Silk press, girl.
Almond shape or square? Nail.
Wait. Almond.
Okay. Wear flip-flops all winter or a turtleneck all summer?
Turtleneck all summer.
Okay. Would you rather sell a city center high-rise or a suburban family home?
Ooh. High-rise. Shoot, that was hard.
Very nice. Okay, very nice. We were having a little time, but the statements were specifically tailored for you. So.
For me, that was tough.
That was a lot of fun. So for those of you who don't know, Miss Ashley, soccer standout. She played collegiate soccer. She loves to get her nails done. She also sells real estate. She teaches. She's a jack of all trades. That's why we love her so much here in the DeVos program. All right, Miss Ashley. So we're going to jump right in. I want you to tell us tell our viewers about, how did you get your start in the sports? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so sports has been a fabric in my life since the very beginning. I played sports from the very young age of 4 when I started playing soccer and basketball and running track and all the sports. I was, like you mentioned, a collegiate athlete, and I was graduating from college sort of when the market was crashing in 2008, which makes me a little more seasoned than you, Candace. And I decided to come to graduate school off the advice of a mentor. I decided to come to the best program for sports management and business, which is the DeVos Sport Business Management Program. And from there, I was lucky enough to land a full-time role with Madison Square Garden with the New York Knicks, the New York Rangers, and the New York Liberty. And then I learned a lot in that first job. And so that was like my first start. But sports has just been the fabric of my life, my family. It's how we bond. We have a family tennis tournament every Christmas when we're all together, and nobody can beat my 72-year-old dad. So.
Very nice. So it seems like sports has been at the center of your personal life and also your family, your career that has always served at the center. So I want you to talk a little bit about your experience as a collegiate athlete, playing a white-dominated sport on a PWI campus as a Black student athlete. So shed some light on that. How was your experience? How was the culture on campus within your specific team? I want you to talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so college soccer is a global game. I think only in America is soccer considered like a white sport, but nevertheless, that is what it is here. And so when I stepped on campus at the University of Buffalo my freshman year, I was the only Black player on my team. And that was not unusual growing up. I mean, occasionally you have like one or two of us sprinkled in, but it was not unusual. And I never felt out of place. And I credit that to having a really good group of teammates, specifically that class that came in with me, who were quite diverse in their thought, in their upbringing. Our parents got along. I really had an eye-opening moment, an opportunity to even share more with my teammates about what it was to be the only. We went and played Hampton University my junior year of college, and like we played against a team that was literally all Black, and they were like, "Oh my God, there's no white people on that team. That's crazy." And I'm like, "Well, there's not really any Black people on your team," and it really opened the door to have a conversation. I was lucky enough to have a Black athletic director and a Black head coach the 4 years that I was in school. So I never felt that that pressure or that feeling to like out of place, but I really know that my experience was unique in that. I know a lot of people, I have a lot of collegiate athlete friends who played softball or swam who are like, it was a horrible experience. I really just like was blessed to have a really positive experience, but at the same time, always knowing that I was representing Black people, Black women for most of the people on my team and in athletics. I knew that I couldn't miss, that I had to be on point. I had to be great on the field and in the classroom and in my extracurriculars. So it was an experience, but a positive one for me. And if I could do it over, I might do it differently.
Okay, very nice. Buffalo, New York. I don't think I've ever even thought about going to, but I'm a Southern girl.
Well, I'm from up there, but have you ever eaten a buffalo wing?
Have you ever did what now?
Have you ever eaten a buffalo wing?
Yeah, yeah.
Then you're welcome.
That's how that works.
We created buffalo wings, so you're welcome.
Okay.
That's why they're called buffalo wings.
So that may be better. Okay, because where I'm from, we think that we're the home of like all wings and barbecue.
You're not. You're not.
We're not. Okay.
You're not, ma'am. No, ma'am.
And so I know the other day in the pre-screen, you talked about your teammates serving as allies before allies were even a thing. So could you talk a little bit about, the importance of allyship, even while you're a student athlete or even throughout your professional career? How has allyship, played its part?
Yeah, I think that I learned allyship at a young age. It was important to me to have people who understood me, respected me, and vouched for me even when I wasn't present. It's one thing to have a group of people who have your back when you're standing right next to them. And allyship to me is when you're an ally even when I'm not present, or even when that individual is not present or that group is not represented. So for me, I always had teammates who were advocating for me. I had academic advisors who were allies and advocating for me. And throughout my career, I think the importance of relationship, of people knowing the content of your character and being able to speak positively and be able to tell the truth when, the truth might not be spoken and when you're not present. And I am to this day very good friends with my teammates. And they, in the summer that we had in 2020, they were the first people to reach out, donate, and they were already doing that work. It just was reinforced with that. And so you need people in your life who are shouting you out, holding you accountable, pushing the movement forward. And allyship is really the foundation of what I think is a successful life.
Absolutely. So you talked about some of those relationships and relationship building. On Invisible Women, we're trying to figure out the sweet spot. As graduate students, we're trying to often learn about, how to maintain a substantial network, but one that's also authentic. So, we're working to try to figure out, what's the best mode of communication. Is it an email every now and then? Is it a like on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
What does it look like? So how have you been able to maneuver your network?
I think the most important thing is to be authentic. I know we talked about that in the pre-screen and you mentioned it just now. People, especially the further you get in your career, can tell that you're reaching out only when you want a job or only when you need something. Relationships are a two-way street. Even if you feel like you're a graduate student, you don't have a lot to offer. People are always looking for insight from a different generation or a different perspective. Can you offer insight? And are you authentic about it? For me, I reach out based on like what's happening. This is still a thing. You can put Google alerts on like people, individuals, corporations of individuals who you're wanting to be in your network or who are in your network. I mentioned that I had a Black athletic director at University of Buffalo, Ward Manuel, who's now the athletic director at the University of Michigan. And when they beat Ohio State this past weekend, I shot him a text and just said, "Hey, congratulations, so proud, what a great win." He hasn't returned my text. He probably will now if he sees this. But my point is that like I didn't reach out in any kind of need, and I know that if I reached out in a need, he will respond, and he always has. And that's just one example of being authentic. I don't think it matters the mode of communication. I think it matters the heart behind it and the goal behind it, which is just building actual relationships, so that when you do need to pull that card of, hey, I'm applying for this job, or hey, I need some advice, that they're available for that as well. So I can always tell when people are like, hey, just wanted to catch up versus I'm sending you my resume, I want this job.
Mm.
And authenticity matters.
Absolutely. I think those are tangible items that one can actually put forth in maintaining the network, because there's some DeVos alum that you know about that I'm in contact with. So, every now and then it's like, I may not have anything to talk about. It's like, hey, how you doing? And they'll text
Just
me
thinking of
back and they'll
you.
say,
Yeah.
how are you? I'm just trying to finish out school, but we're here now. So no more of those texts coming from me. So it's been some of that, but then also, like you said, I am also able to reach out when it's like a job that I see that caught my interest. You have any insight here? And they've been very receptive along those lines. So I definitely agree with that. So taking our journey throughout your career. So, you go, you compete as a soccer student athlete, then you land in the DeVos program. I want you to spend some time, I'm a current DeVos student, Miss Ashley has paved the way for us to come after her. She loves to think that she's more seasoned than us. So I want you to talk about, your DeVos experience and why would you recommend the DeVos program to graduate students or even to those mentors or allies who have students right now who they may be pitching, graduate programs to?
Arguably, the DeVos Sport Business Management program is the most diverse sport management program that you're going to attend. So I feel strongly that you're going to get a high education and you're going to build a network at any program that you go to, whether that's OU, whether that's USF, UMass, whatever. But if you want to be amongst a group of people who are great business leaders and also social justice warriors, you want to be at the DeVos Sport Business Management program. If you want to have challenging conversations about race, equity, inclusion, you're going to want to be here. And if you want to have a network that is as diverse as the world, then you want to be here. We have over 500 alumni who are working all over the world from all different backgrounds and who all have a fabric of belief that you can use the power of sport to change the world. If you want, I also feel really strongly that UCF is one of the few programs that is in a metropolitan area. So if you want to have access to some of the big four sports, whether that's the MLS with Orlando City Soccer, the Orlando Magic, who is, a founding partner, NASCAR, Florida Citrus Sports, whatever the case may be, the list goes on. And I think for me, my experience in the DeVos program was that I had a tremendous opportunity to meet a group of people from all different walks of life. We had hard conversations, we learned, we grew, and my best friends are from this program. Even when we had tough conversations, even when we continue to have tough conversations, whether that's the summer of 2020, whether that's Kyrie Irving's most recent comments, like you're having those tough conversations with your friends, and it's your turn to be an ally to the Jewish community. And I think that fabric and that foundation of caring more about the people that you're serving than the scoreboard or the revenue generated leads to even more success on the business side. So I think I'm biased because I went to the program and I'm also working in the program now, but I think I'm biased towards the truth that if you want to have a well-rounded experience and you want to have an opportunity to really shape the character of who you are, there's no place like the DeVos program.
Absolutely. Very well said. And I want you to say for the people in the back, the statistic on the HBCU DeVos students.
Yeah, I mean, our cohort, especially this current one, which is not your cohort, but even the cohort after you, like we're one of the few programs that actually actively recruits at HBCUs. And we have had, in the 3.5 years I've been here, every cohort has had multiple students from HBCUs. And that matters.
Absolutely, it does. So for the people in the back, for all those HBCUs.
So if you're at an HBCU or know an HBCU student right now, if you want them to come and feel safe and feel at home, the DeVos program is where it's at.
Absolutely. And so, we've talked about your experience as a collegiate athlete, a student in the DeVos program. So now I want you to kind of talk about, how has those experiences impact your ability to do what you do every day? When we're knocking down your door, you got 10 people in your office, you're doing your external affairs, you're handling your partnerships, you're trying to focus on placement. How has all those experiences impacted and build up to what you do every day?
Yeah, I tell you guys all the time as students, like you're so busy, and I'm like, you're never going to be as calm as you are right now. Like every season of your life is going to get arguably busier. And I know that seems hard to believe, but there's just different things that come in. So student athlete life taught me excellent time management, taught me how to make priorities. And then I went to graduate school and I thought, well, no way I can be busier than I'm just going to school now. And then it was like, I replaced school with 5 internships and wanting to play intramural sports because I didn't get to play those in college, and I wanted to play basketball and do all the things that, whatever. And then I went to work for Madison Square Garden, which is arguably one of the hardest places to work when you're talking about the number of events. I think, the 2 years that I worked there, per year, we had 10 dark days. That means 10 days where there was not an event happening at the arena. 10 out of 365. Like, that's insane. And you just have to learn to prioritize. You decide what's important, you decide what's urgent, and then you figure out what you want to do. And I think being in the program and all of that work experience and having good leaders to help me manage what's needed, what's important, what's an emergency. I joke all the time that, like, don't talk to me about critical numbers, because, like, we work in sports, like, nothing's critical. We're not doctors, right? But you do understand what's important. So it's just figuring out how to manage your time. I still sometimes I'm like, I just had to close the door because 15 students out there and they all have 15 questions, but, like, I need to focus on this and I have a presentation due, and you just find time and you manage it well. And you have people who hold you accountable. Like, I'll text a friend and be like, I haven't need to do this project. She'll say, I'm going to set a timer for you, and you got 25 minutes to, like, focus in on it, and then you can take a break. So having some good people around you matters as well.
Absolutely. I love that. And I can attest to that because, undergrad, being a Division I collegiate athlete, it's a grind. It's a business. I thought, surely graduate school, I'll be fine, right?
You're fine. Everything's fine. Busy.
No, very much so busy. There's always something to do. Then on top of coaching, trying to get experiences, trying to meet new people, and still trying to have set aside time for me. So it's been just as busy, if not busier, being in graduate school. So I can definitely attest to it. I don't know what the next season is gonna look like, but I'm a little
busy, different, but busy for sure.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about your time at Madison Square Garden. So I want you to go a little bit deeper, because it's not often that we hear about a Black woman obtaining a role working at Madison Square Garden. So tell us about what was that like for you?
I look back and I think I was a little bit of an only in that organization as well, but there were a handful of Black women who were leaders, including Nicole Jeter West, who I'm still connected and close with today. Again, it's that when you're the only one, it's that ability to not miss. It's that ability to always be on. You don't get any days off. You don't get to mess up. But I had incredible leaders. I've been lucky enough in every job I've had, actually with the exception of this one, that I have had female leaders. So women who were committed to my success, because my success was also their success as women in the sports industry. And I was able to lean on, the handful of Black women who were in the company who were committed to making sure that I succeeded, committed to making sure that I was in the room, a part of the conversation, learning and growing. And that, again, I keep saying it, but it comes back to relationships. It comes back to showing yourself friendly, signing up for a couple of things that maybe you don't really want to do, but are going to build equity, so that when you go back to that person and ask the question, they're willing to help you. So, and it's not about being manipulative with that. It's just give and receive. And that's, sow good seeds. So that's really what it's about, is sowing good seeds. And I'm really lucky that I've had really, really tremendous female leaders, and I was able to connect with a handful of the Black women who worked at the Garden, because the Garden is a crazy place. Like, it's like, I know we joked about it in the pre-show, like, it's like dog years. You work there, 1 year of experience there is equivalent to 7 years of experience, because you work so much, the pressure is so high. You're also poor because you're, like, making an entry-level salary living in New York City, and that brings an additional level of stress and anxiety that you bring to work. But it was a good 2 years. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I'm glad to not be in that season of life.
Absolutely. Well, I will say in those 2 years, it does not look like 14 years have aged you at all while in the Garden.
Thanks, girl.
So from the Garden, then you went on to the Magic, and then you love the DeVos program so much that you came back. So take us through, what do you like? I know what you do. So, for people may be wondering, what exactly does the Director for External Affairs and Partnerships does? Shed some light on exactly what you do for the DeVos program.
Yeah, so fancy title to say that, like, it's my job to supplement the student's experience. So I'm not responsible for the academic side whatsoever. It's my job to supplement that educational experience with industry experience. So I work with our partners here locally and across the country, hopefully globally in the next couple of years, with depending on what can happen, to make sure that they have students have an opportunity to network and gain experience that they can put on their resume. So that might look like consulting projects where we evaluate the marketing of a specific organization, or we provide insight from a Gen Z perspective, not me, you guys, and I kind of lead that because I'm not a Gen Zer. But and it's really just, and it's also about fundraising. So my job is to provide revenue to the program. So in order to allow you guys to attend conferences, we take an immersive industry trip to New York City, where the students have an opportunity to go to the NFL league office, MLB league office, NBA league office, all of the league offices, and maybe except the NHL we didn't go to, agencies and all of those things, and have an opportunity to network and understand the business of sport in a real meaningful way. New York City is obviously like the mecca of sports, where all the league offices are. And so my job is to provide those experiences for the student. And then my last and most challenging job, but my most rewarding job, is placement and preparedness for the students. So it's my job to work with our partners to make sure that the students have their resumes are ready, they're interview ready, and that they're ready to step into the sports industry in a real meaningful way. So that's what I'm doing right now. We are 2 weeks from graduation, and we're working with each student to make sure, just 2 weeks, 15 days, right? To make sure that they're ready to graduate, and that I'm helping to foster those connections. I'm following up as they're interviewing with those people that they're interviewing with to, put my recommendation in and sort of push them forward in their careers.
Just so everyone knows, that is not all that Miss Ashley does. Miss Ashley is also a realtor. She's an adjunct professor. She's a mentor. She's a coach. She's a mom sometimes. Sometimes she's a counselor. She does it all. She wears a lot.
I do a lot of hats, but it's my season to do that, and I'm okay with that. It's the most rewarding part of my job. I mean, the students, while you all drive me nuts sometimes because I'd be like, just do what I told you to do the first time. But it's the most rewarding to know that like I'm having a direct impact on the next generation of sports business leaders. And I know, because of the work that we do, that they'll be diverse, that they'll be well versed in diversity, equity, inclusion, and they'll be incredible sport business leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've done a lot. You've done a lot. So you talked a lot about relationship building. You talked about time management. So for anyone that may be interested in a role such as yours, may look like yours, what are some of those skills that you deem to be most essential to succeed in a role like you have it in the DeVos program?
Yeah, the soft skills have not gone away. The ability to build relationships, the ability to write well, is a lost art, because we all text and write in shorthand now. But when I get an email or a resume that is littered with errors, it literally makes my skin crawl. Or I get an email from a student that says, "Hey, what's up? Could you help me with this?" And I'm like, Are you okay? Is this how you talk to your mom? Is this how you would talk to a VP of a company? And what scares me is it is, right? So writing well, I know everybody says that they don't want to sell, but whatever you do, whatever you decide to do, you're going to be selling someone. Maybe it's not slinging tickets, and I'm not for you have to go and sell tickets to enter the sports industry, but you do have to have the ability to pitch and have your argument received, whether that's negotiating for a salary increase or a promotion or a salary adjustment, whether that's getting an internal partner, the marketing department, the social responsibility department, to buy into your idea, to want to partner with you. You need to know how to articulate yourself in a way that makes people want to come alongside you and work. So writing is a lost skill. The art of selling and persuasion is really, really important. And I will just keep harping on it. It's just being likable. And I don't mean like faking it. I'm all for and committed to you bringing your whole self to work. But there is something to be said about being respectful and compatible in a work setting. You don't have to be best friends. You don't have to have drinks every single night. You don't have to do all of these things. But you do have to have some kind of empathy and support for the people that you work with. And that's in every aspect of life, no matter what you want to do. And I think those skills are sort of lost in this. This is where I'm seasoned, and it's like on your phone and not actually connected, right? Like I think people forget with remote work and all these things. And again, here for remote work, I would love to work from home 3 days a week. So if any of my bosses are on this call, I would like to work from home 3 days a week. Um, Dr. Lassik's here. Yeah, exactly. I would like to work from home every Friday. Thank you so much. But there is still an importance of like relationship equity, writing well, and your ability to have persuasion. So those are the things that I would say are really important and transferable across any job that you're going to do.
Absolutely. I'm glad you talked about selling, because I think a lot of times there's a misconception when we talk about selling as it relates to sports, like people think ticketing. But no, like there are different ways that we've all had to sell, essentially, whether it be our own personal brand, because me getting the NCAA into postgraduate internship, highly competitive, I had to sell myself, but I went in, I was authentically me, even coming in and applying for the DeVos program. I had to sell myself, sell my resume, and then let the rest of the chips fall where they may. So it's a way you can look at selling as like a product, but it's also, you could also consider selling yourself, your brand, your personal product also.
The skill sets are similar, if not exactly the same. You need to listen well, understand what the person needs, and then provide and meet that need. That's essentially what selling is.
Absolutely. So personally for you, how have you maneuvered a white male dominated industry as a Black woman?
I think I said this in the pre-show. Man, do I wish I was 22 right now. I navigated that. I fit in, to be quite transparent, right? Like I just wanted to do my job exceptionally well. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. I mean, you know me, Candace. I'm never going to be somebody who like sits silently and never says anything. But I knew that there was very few opportunities for us. My voice got louder and louder as I continue to grow in my career and gain more equity. But I think that there's never been a better time to be a Black woman in sports and entertainment. I think the industry is desperate and ripe for individuals like yourself to come in and share their insights, share their perspective, share their life experience in order to better the business. We all know statistically, industries are better, sports and entertainment companies are better when they're diverse. And for me, navigating it looked like I had to decide which battles I was going to pick, because I could be pissed off every single day based on some microaggression. God forbid I wore my hair curly to work. We were going to have a 5-minute, 12-minute conversation about that. God forbid I got my hair braided. It was like all kinds of things. I was always too emotional, too aggressive, too straightforward. Those were all things that I had to battle. And it was tough when I was young because I didn't really have a lot of people looking to me or to look to guide me in that. Which is why I'm so passionate about what I do now and helping individuals, not only Black women who look like me, but also white men, to be like, no, Candace is not aggressive. She's talking in the same tone you're talking in. You just feel insecure. And when you are passionate, it's fine. But when I'm passionate, it's aggressive. And I think it's really important to have, again, this is where allies are even more important, because I don't know what else to do other than to tell you what I'm telling you and it be the truth. And I'm not passionate about it. I'm not crying about it. I'm not angry about it. It's just, this is what it is. So I really had to navigate figuring out which battles I was going to pick, deciding how to hone my emotions. And for me, it was always being prepared. I could quiet my emotions with my preparedness. So I could say, this is really rough. This person is speaking to me crazy. I'm not going to refuse to cry. I was always the person, like I had a cry hallway when I worked at the Magic. Like, I'm not going to cry in this office right now. I'm going to cry when I get in the hallway quietly out of frustration. But I was prepared. And now I think for you all, as you step into the sports industry, ears are more open than they were when I was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I could use that cry hallway, because for anybody that knows me, I am a crier. So I will definitely need one of those hallways, closets, or something.
Listen, I'm a big proponent in like show your emotion, but like I refuse to let anyone, especially a man, when I'm in a meeting, like bring me to tears. And mostly I cry when I'm mad. So when I'm frustrated and feeling like disrespected, like my eyes well up, and I'm like, I refuse for it to look like I'm overly emotional in this meeting. So that was just my cry hallway.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I'm going to take that and put that in my pocket.
Yeah. Gather yourself and then go out.
Absolutely. So the chat is filling up with Q&A questions. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to throw it over to Gift, who's going to take Miss Ashley through Q&A. But Miss Ashley, I have one final question for you.
Okay,
A
Candace.
question I like to ask all my guests. What would you tell your younger self if you could go back and whisper in little Miss Ashley's ear? We're not friends yet. So
We're not friends. Close.
14 days.
15 days.
You know, what would you tell your younger self if you could?
Yeah, I think I would, if I could go back and tell younger Ashley anything, it would just be to just relax. That life works out the way that it's supposed to. And whether that's your faith, whether that's the universe, whatever you believe, I was really high strung. And my family says that I'm wound tight, which used to hurt my feelings, but it's just the truth of who I am. But I spent a lot of time stressing about what the next step was going to be, what I was going to do next, how I was going to get promoted, that I didn't really get to enjoy and really live in the moment of really cool experiences like working All-Star and being at Madison Square Garden and, you know, all these really, really cool events that I got to be a part of that I kind of missed because I was so stressed about being great and what was next. So it would just be to just take a deep breath, be where your feet are, and enjoy the moment and, you know, continue to work hard. I'm not saying be lazy and just like the world's just going to hand you things, but just enjoy the moment a little bit more, because working in sports, while it's a grind, is still one of the best jobs on the planet. Like, it's fun. You're not, nobody's life is in your hand. Like, you're talking about sports. It's fun. So just enjoy it a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Ashley, for being my final guest on Invisible Women in Sport. It has truly meant a lot. And obviously your continued efforts, all that you do for myself personally and the other students in the DeVos program, on behalf of me and the DeVos program, I would like to say thank you for all that you do and you continue to do.
Thank you, Candace. You're the best.
Oh, no, you're better. All righty, Gift. I'm going to throw it over to Gift to take over Q&A.
Hello, thank you. Hi, Miss Ashley.
Hi, Gift.
All right, I'm waiting just another second for a couple more questions to come chat. All right, our very first question comes from me, and it is, you mentioned earlier that if you were able to redo your collegiate experience and athletic career, you would do it differently. How would you implement those changes?
Yeah, I was ill prepared when I went to college. I think I just assumed that I was always the best, so I'll continue to be the best. And I was not prepared in my what it would take to be great. So I basically wasted my freshman year playing catch up. So I might consider going further away from home, and then I would consider being more prepared for what it looked like. Does that make sense?
A little bit. I was going to ask you to elaborate. Do you mean preparedness in terms of like on the field as a soccer player, or just overall as a
overall? So I had no concept of what it looked like to study. You know, high school came relatively easy. So suddenly we were traveling 4 days a week and taking classes and exams in hotel rooms proctored by our coaches. I had 6 a.m. lift and then class and then a 3 o'clock practice and then a student athlete advisory committee. Like, I had no idea how to manage my time. Everything had come so easy to me, as well as on the field. So like, I was ill prepared on the field. I was ill prepared on how to manage my life. I also wanted to like be social and party a little bit, which was like not in the cards for me. So I mean, I think that's what college is about, but I was really ill prepared in what it would take to be successful both on and off the field. And it took me almost a year to like figure it out. And then I spent my sophomore year kind of like bringing my grades up and performing on the field and mending some high school relationships that I completely neglected while I was trying to get my life together. So just an overall understanding that, like, you know, life comes at you fast and you've got to be prepared.
That definitely makes sense. But I think specifically as a student athlete, it takes about a year to just get the rhythm of everything. So yes, makes sense for sure. Our next question comes from Matt Edelson. His question is, what are some of the challenges involved in getting companies interested in partnering with DeVos?
Yeah, so it's all timing when it comes to partnerships. Any good partnership, you both feel like you gave up a little bit and you both feel like you're gaining a little bit. So oftentimes when we're looking for partnerships, it's important to me that we're working with brands and leagues and teams that I believe in and that match our core values as part of the DeVos program. And then at the end of the day, like you hear the students, like they're stressed and they're busy, they're taking classes and they're doing internships. And when I say, hey, we have this great opportunity for you to study some more and write a research paper and consult, they're like, when am I going to do that? So it can sometimes be a little bit challenging versus like, you know, when you're working for a team or a league, you have a team of people who are prepared to do this. I'm essentially a team of one and all of my partners are students. So that can sometimes be a little bit challenging. And then it's really about timing. So it's not always perfect timing that a company is in need of a consulting project. It really has to be that they've evaluated their business plan and they maybe don't have the time, the resources, or the people to fulfill this idea that they're trying to think through, or they really want a Gen Z perspective. And it might be that they want that to happen in January. Well, the students don't come back until the 10th. And so it's really just about finding the timeline and finding, for me, brands and teams and leagues that really understand the value of what we bring from the DeVos program. I also would add that there's only 20 students per cohort. So Candace's cohort is getting ready to graduate. And now there's, 20 students who are, half of which are taking business classes for the very first time and are getting their butts kicked by economics in a good way, which I did too. So no judgment there. And they're really trying to get settled in and what it looks like to be in graduate school. So to add more to their plate can be really challenging. I think that there's an opportunity to work with UCF Athletics and have some of their student athletes participate in some of our consulting projects and some of our students working in UCF Athletics to try to figure out how to grow partnerships in a more meaningful way.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Our next question comes from Garnett Overby. He says, Ms. Ashley, you have worked directly in the field for teams. You have worked directly in the field for teams, and now you're on the educational side of preparing leaders for the sports industry. Given your experience and perceptions, what are some areas in the sport that you see where women of color are growing and making exciting contributions? Sorry, that was a little mouthful.
No, you're good. I think for a long time, women in general, and Black women are included in that, were on the service side of sports. I think that women can really make a drastic impact on sports and entertainment when given the opportunity and when really taking the opportunity in marketing and in sales. I think that there is a huge opportunity for women of color, Black women in particular, we make the culture. We are the culture. It is what it is. Fight me if you don't like it. But it matters that like the things that we say, what we wear, the fact that sneaker culture is like swept over everybody and like it's new. We're all like, no, these Jordans are from the 90s. Like women in sports and entertainment have the ability to take that knowledge that we innately have from like creating culture and creating a vibe, for lack of better words, and bringing that to business. Essentially, that's what we're trying to do in sports entertainment. It might be a basketball game, but we're really just trying to entertain a group of people. So I think Black women are uniquely positioned to impact the bottom line with revenue and how we sell and how we consume, as well as how we create a brand or tell a story about a brand.
Awesome. All right, we have a comment from Sharice Parker. She says, great point. We do well in the telling of narratives of the culture and need of the industry. #facts.
#facts.
All right. My next question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was great. I spent it with some very dear friends of mine. We don't do traditional Thanksgiving because I don't like turkey. So it's prime rib, mac and cheese. I don't do any of the cooking, but I do all the baking. I made sweet potato pie and churro cheesecake.
Awesome.
And it was very relaxing. And I watched horrible Christmas movies because that's like my thing. And it was great.
Love to hear it. Sounds great. Maybe one day, when we're friends, I might get an invite. We'll see.
Candace is going to get an invite first, but I appreciate you asking.
Of course, I'll bide my time. I have time with you. All right, my next question is, what are you most proud of, or what is your greatest accomplishment from 2020?
From 2020?
2022, my apologies.
Oh, goodness. 2022 specifically. Let me say this. In 2021, I paid off $115,000 worth of debt. So that was one of my biggest accomplishments. In 2022, I'm really, really proud to have the program, which we were previously ranked 22nd globally in the world, and now have moved up to 8th. And the cohort that would have taken that survey and helped us to increase our ranking as a program from 22nd to 8th was the first cohort that I got to oversee through. So I'm really proud to know that the DeVos program is continuing to restore its right order and being a top ranked program in this country and in the world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Always an inspiration and great to talk to you. And I'm going to pass it back over to Candace. Thank you.
Thanks, Gift.
Thanks, Gift. All right, Michelle, just out of curiosity, what is your favorite horrible Christmas movie?
Oh, favorite horrible Christmas movie. I just watched Holiday in Harlem on a plane, and it was just so cheesy, and I knew everything that was going to happen, but I watched every second of it like this. Because I just love horrible. And then I obviously, as a Christmas favorite, I love A Christmas Story.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, it's very nice. Well, Miss Ash, has been a pleasure speaking with you today and learning a little bit more about you today. Well, I think most of it I already knew, but it was great. I want to thank you again for being my final guest on Invisible Women in Sport. I think that the gems that you've dropped have been great for myself, other graduate students alike, and then also just professionals who are well into their careers also. We have some alum that are in the chat also.
Thank you so much, Candace. It was an absolute pleasure. I appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. All righty, friends, we're going to work to close out the show for one last time. Once again, we would like to thank all of you for your constant support of the Invisible Women in Sport. We are a non-profit organization with other programs that impact various social justice issues. We would like to extend a special shout out to the University of Central Florida and the DeVos program, the DeVos Sport Business Management program, for allowing Ms. Ashley to spend some time with us today. So please use the QR code displayed on your screen to grant us a financial gift as we continue to impact the lives through sport. Special thanks to the Invisible Women in Sport team who have supported me and helped me throughout this season of Invisible Women, and also special shout out to Miss Ashley Turner. Once again, special shout out to the DeVos Sport Business Management program at the University of Central Florida for allowing Miss Ashley a little bit of her time to spend some time with us today. Please follow us on all social media platforms to stay up to date and informed on future programs at Institute SSJ. If you ever miss an episode, we've got you covered on our YouTube channel. We have all episodes posted and up to date. Finally, we get a lot of inquiries about internships. So listeners, members, if you receive any internship opportunities, please send them to our producer, Garnett Overby at goverby@sportandsocialjustice.org, so we can send that information out to individuals reaching out to us. Once again, viewers, we need your feedback to make Invisible Women in Sport the best it can be. Following today's episode, you will receive a short survey. Please complete it and submit it back to us. And as you all know, this is the last episode for 2022. I would like to introduce Gift Pendleton as the next Invisible Women in Sport host. Be on the lookout for those updates in 2023. And for one last time, I am your host, Candace Martin, for Invisible Women in Sports, Season 3. See us now.
Well, hold on, Candace. There's one more thing that we need to do before we just let you go.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, oh my goodness. So we have a short little tribute to Candace. I think you knew that this was coming.
Yeah.
So, but Candace Martin, the Woman of the Year. Candace Martin is the Woman of the Year, has been honored before with this honor, and she will receive it again today. Many of you may not be aware that in 2018, Candace was named the SWAC Woman of the Year. Candace participated in volleyball at Alabama State University and left as a legend. She has 4 rings. She was a SWAC tournament team selection her junior and senior year. She was a SWAC co-player of the year her senior year, and she was also the SWAC nominee for the NCAA Woman of the Year in her senior year. Those are some amazing honors, and I bet you didn't know I knew all of that about you, huh, Candace?
No, I didn't.
Well, here's a little bit about her journey and her motivation. She is from Memphis, Tennessee, and those of you who know her, that's the home of blues and barbecue. She is the youngest of four and the only girl. Standing at 6 feet tall, there were some expectations that she would be a basketball player, but in the words and in the attitude of Candace, wrong sport and wrong net. She made her mark in volleyball. With her mom working 3 jobs, volleyball became that saving grace that flooded her life with infinite opportunity and a chance to break the mold. And she did just that. In her last collegiate volleyball season, she walked away with the SWAC Volleyball Championship and became a first-generation college graduate in her family. And in 2 short weeks, she will walk across that college graduation stage again, earning a dual master's degree in sports business management and business administration from the DeVos Sports Business Management Program at the University of Central Florida. Just as important, she will be a first-generation college graduate with an advanced degree in her family. So Candace, you have been more than a capable host for the 3rd season of Invisible Women in Sport. Your energy, candor, and smile are infectious.
Oh.
Her go-to phrase to welcome each guest is, "We're just having a conversation," has always helped relieve any nervousness or anxiety and was a catalyst for an amazing season. On behalf of myself and my partner, Matt Edelson, I would like to adorn you with being Invisible Women in Sports Woman of the Year.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you for your commitment, dedication, and a ton of laughter and smiles. You are a phenomenal woman, and I'm excited to see what your contribution to the world of sport is going to be. You go, girl, do your thing.
Thank you, everyone.
I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Iyane Miranda and Maya King for the dedication and hard work in the production of Invisible Women in Sport. A project like this needs a great team in order to be successful. And Iyane and Maya have been phenomenal teammates for this 3rd season of Invisible Women in Sport. They will also be graduating in 2 weeks with the dual master's degree in sports business management and business administration from the DeVos Sports Business Management Program at UCF. So thank you, ladies, for your efforts on this project. And so now, Candace, you can completely close out the show.
All right. For one last time, I am your host, Candace Martin, for Invisible Women in Sports Season 3. See us now.